problems in your life that you want to break away from and feel like you can't? Do you wonder, how can I be free from these issues that have destroyed my life? Well, my friend, I have the answer. Bible Way Hibner Memorial Church of God in Christ presents Chain Breakers, this and every Sunday at 9 a.m. here on WHYL.
From the L.B. Smith Ford Lincoln Studios, Oldies 102.9 is WHYL Carlisle.
It's time now for the Real Estate Radio Guy with real estate broker John Rainville. For the next hour, you'll learn everything about national real estate topics, trends, and news revolving around Central PA. It's sponsored by GSF Mortgage Corporation, EnviroQuest Inspections, and SearchHomesInPA.com. And now, here's the Real Estate Radio Guy, John Rainville.
Good morning. Hey, it's a hot and sticky day out here in PA. We're going to have a really interesting show today. We're going to be talking about what the heck goes on as we age and what to do with your property. What
you mean besides aching bones and...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, besides letting the grass grow 2 feet tall, you know, some different things. And John Stas, our home inspector, Where's Waldo? He's going to be talking about... fireplaces, chimneys, and some of those issues, because now's the time of year where you want to get that handled. Okay, so that's just something to think about. And we're going to be talking a little bit about, you know, where the interest rates are, right? Where later on in the show, and I'm going to give them a broker tip, because remember, you know, last week we gave them the slide dial trick.
Slide dial. I still think that's one of the best inventions, although it bugs the hell out of me because you always see that little, you know, you got voicemail up top, and you're like, I know it didn't ring. and now, of course, knowing the trick, I'm like, all right, who
slide dialed?
Who slide dialed me? and it usually is.
So today we want to really, you know, talk a little bit here. Kinglsey's going to start off here with some points about when you get to 55. Betty and I built a new home. You know, about 15 years ago now, and we built that. When we built it, with the first floor master bedroom, we built it with the lever handles. We built it with the wider halls. We built it so as you got older, it would work.
Are you implying because this is a 55? An older segment that 15 years ago when you bought the home you were 55 and now you're 70?
No, we were already thinking about it.
Okay, all right.
So right. We already had built it with things to make it easier to age in place, but I can tell you, you know, those things change.
But obviously it's important to think about them before you're knee deep.
Absolutely.
Into that issue.
And a lot of people don't think about that when they're out there looking at their dream home. Where are they going to be in 15 years? And it is definitely something you need to consider, folks. You know, how are you going to age in place there? I mean, does it have a yard that you're going to be able to take care of? I mean, I'm just so thrilled right now. We've got a lawn service. They come in every Monday. My lawn's done. It's weed whacked. It's all blown off. It always looks about the same. And my neighbor, who is the best lawn guy I've ever seen in my entire life, Eric, you know, and it's making him up his game because my guy cuts the diamonds in. So now we have most of the neighbors are cutting, you know, the little diamonds, the patterns in the lawn.
And they're doing it themselves?
Yeah.
I've always, I'm like, how the heck do they do that? And then I finally saw that they've got those little roller balls that they drag behind the mowers. That, you know, on the golf courses. And I always wonder, what the heck are those things for?
How
it
do
looks
they
like
do that?
Yeah, it looks like they're farming the golf course.
Yeah, so one week I've got diamonds, the next week it's checkerboard, you know. So it's definitely up in the game there in the hood.
You know, one of these days you ought to get them to start putting like some cartoon characters into the lawn or something. I mean,
the Penn State logo or something.
That would be pretty cool. Start getting some drone photos.
I've got a lot of neighbors that are Miami fans. You know, yeah, University of Miami. So at least two.
Oh, well, you wouldn't be that hard to do, I don't think.
Well, I don't want it on my lawn.
Well, I mean, on their lawn. You could have, you get a drone photo of your neighborhood. You've got PSU, maybe Florida State or something like that. That could be a new trend.
I know. Oh, yeah. During football season? Yeah. Just do it like the end
we're
zones
only,
and
what,
stuff.
3-4 weeks away from pro football. From
really up the
preseason.
game in my neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh, that would be fun. But that is certainly one thing to think about as you get older. And I know, one of there's 7, in my view, there's 7 and possibly 8 different ways or things to think about as you get older and the options that you have for where you're going to live. I mean, it's not always just cut and dry. In my particular case, my father passed away early, in my opinion. It was sudden. And this is one of the things that unfortunately my mother is stuck with deciding.
That's an excellent point. If one spouse is left, or
right. So now my mother has this big home,
right,
and over a half an acre,
right,
of lawn. So it's not necessarily where are you going to putter around in your house and have your morning coffee or tea or whatever it is you drink. Now all of a sudden over the summer it's lawn care. She used to love to do gardening and flowers and stuff like that, but after a while, that becomes a little overwhelming, I think.
Right.
Especially for a half an acre. So, unfortunately, we have to look at options now as we're knee-deep into the situation. But this is certainly something that can be thought of well in advance and planned out if you,
right,
sit down with your spouse and say, okay, in the event of this, what are we going to do?
One of the things that everyone needs to think about is what are you going to do with all your stuff?
Yeah, well, that's a whole other...
I know, because the kids don't want it.
No, they don't.
Auction houses don't want it.
And the funny thing is there was a neighbor up the street that just went through that same thing. And the neighbor was full of life, was into everything, loved trains, loved... Halloween and Christmas and the whole 9 yards, to the point where this guy built a haunted house every year just for the neighborhood kids.
Wow.
And this thing was elaborate. Trains, I think he had over 1,000 trains just set up in his garage. I mean, he had a 2-car garage, like almost the whole thing was designated for just trains. So we did have a lot of stuff. So in any event, one of the options as we get older is to stay put.
Right, to age in place.
Age in place, right? And with staying put, obviously you don't have to necessarily worry about the junk as much, but now you have to worry about...
more of the maintenance issues.
Maintenance issues, right? The house is bigger, so, are there ways to maybe make the home a little more efficient, as you get older so your bills are less? Retirement.
Right, because the 5-bedroom home now, you're only living in 1 bedroom and a few rooms. Can you shut off some of those? Can you zone things?
Right. And then the other thing, too, which a lot of people unfortunately have to think about, is income. We're getting into retirement planning, if you will, but it is really kind of a part of retirement planning.
That's right.
As we get older, if we don't plan, accordingly, our income, for the most part, for a lot of people, drops off a little bit. So if the house isn't paid off and you still have a mortgage and expenses, etc., what are we going to do to try and limit those? If a spouse passes away,
right,
and you're left on one income,
it could change your lifestyle.
Definitely. Which means that you have to, if you haven't planned for it ahead of time, you have some decisions to make. So with that being said, the aging in place, one option, if you still have a mortgage and maybe you're down to one income, is a reverse mortgage. Say you've lived there your whole life, you've been there for 20, 30 years, this is your home, trying to go through all of your stuff, get rid of all your stuff to condense down to an apartment or other option, right? I think would be slightly traumatic. If you think about, you just went through maybe the loss of a loved one, and now you're going through all of the stuff, so you're bringing up all these memories all in a short period of time.
Right, and all these possessions that
you're getting rid of. Right.
Yeah.
So That is definitely one option. I think it's going to be one of the easier options to stay in place if you have the money and the budget to account for it.
Right. And there are state programs that can help you with that if you fall under certain guidelines. Here, at least in Pennsylvania, that's what our lottery money goes to benefit senior citizens.
At least we hope it does.
And it does. It does.
Right.
It does.
Yeah, well, and that
so far.
Supposedly that's what the casino money was going to, too.
Now, casino money was supposed to go towards real estate taxes.
Well, yeah.
It hasn't happened, has it?
I haven't seen it. Mine keeps going up. I think we got another spike coming this year, too. So obviously maintaining in place, reverse mortgage. Everybody has seen you've got to be 65 or older to qualify. But it's certainly one option as a plan. Everybody's seen the commercials with...
But now in a reverse mortgage, they still are responsible. The homeowner still pays the real estate taxes,
Still
right?
pays real estate taxes and homeowners
and
insurance.
a lot of times, they've got that big 5-bedroom home, and that just that single tax bill may be something that's a killer.
It could be. But when you're left with, let's say, a $400 a month payment for taxes and homeowners insurance, you're not going to get an apartment for $400.
No, that's true.
So if you're stuck in a position where you've got another 10 or 15 years on a mortgage, something in that aspect,
right,
and you can eliminate that. Now, the other thing with a reverse mortgage, if you are in that situation where you're now down to maybe a one income,
right,
and the house has been paid down significantly where you've got a lot of equity, a reverse mortgage will actually flip the switch and actually give you a monthly income.
How much equity do they need to have typically? It's based on age, right?
Well, there's a lot of different factors. There's age, there's the area, the type of home, condition of the home. Credit is actually a factor.
Okay.
The amount of bills that person in the house has is a factor. So if they have no bills, and I'd like to generally think you want to at least kind of start off with maybe 50% equity is a good roundabout number.
Okay.
I've seen them go higher, but obviously if you're at 50, I don't want to say you're a shoo-in, but that's kind of the cutoff line.
Okay.
Barring any other weird factors. But if you've got a lot of equity and you're now down to Social Security or pension and that's it, you can actually get an income monthly for the rest of your life based on factors. So not only will you eliminate the mortgage payment if there is one, you'll have an income coming in every month. And you can continue
it's
to
a
live.
possibility.
Right. Now, obviously...
Not my favorite, but it's a possibility.
It's definitely a possibility.
It's a possibility.
If you don't have family and you're not worried about, leaving, anything to your heirs, I suppose. Right. I mean, that's certainly something else you have to think about. From my aspect, as long as my parents are happy, that would be from my aspect. Now, flip the script a little bit. They might think that differently when you're older. But I'm still young. I'm 29, so I got a few years to go. Another interesting option as we're getting older, and I'm holding off on the inevitable option, of course, I think till the end, which we all hate to think about, but option 2 is the new village concept.
Now we're talking about where we're going to go to like a 55-plus community.
No.
Or we're going to move a village in.
No, this is actually kind of neat. They've been popping up all over the country, and we actually have a few here in our local area. One I think is called the Walden over in Mechanicsburg.
Okay.
And another is called Arcona, right?
Okay. And
it's based on the old-fashioned villages.
Yes. Yeah, I know what you're saying. We're sort of where you have commercial sometimes on the first floor of the units and rental units above, and then there's also townhouses and houses right there in that same little community.
There's shops.
Well, yeah, I know. I think those shops actually have apartments above.
Do they really?
Yeah, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I didn't see that.
I believe so.
I just noticed that they have. I think they have Arcona, for example. They have a
hair shop,
maybe a cookie shop or
coffee
shop,
a restaurant. I think there's a restaurant in there now.
And it's all based on the idea from, way back in the day when all the homes were built close, more or less for safety.
Keep it sort of like in walking distance or...
Right. It was all for safety because you had to worry about people coming in.
Close driving distance.
And coming in and attacking you and that sort of thing. So it's a lot of close homes. Even the single-family homes are built, close to each other.
Right.
So it's really like a little old-fashioned town, but brand-new homes. Right. Obviously.
So some people, that might be just what they want.
Right. And
or they could just move in town.
And these homes are designed, or I should say the grounds are designed, where there's a lot of different activities within a specific distance from your home.
Right. Sort of like when we were talking with Bill Frundell on the neighborhood that he and his wife represent, where it has like the walking trails, has the community center, has a community pool and fitness center.
Exactly.
And all that stuff.
Dog trails, the whole nine yards.
Yeah.
So between that and the little shops that are in town, it's, in my opinion, you still have, well, it's not a 55 or older or other options. I mean, it's literally just a little town.
Right. And you have people closer in case you need somebody.
Right. So as you grow older...
And you fall, somebody might pick you up.
There's a lot of people there. You would hope somebody pick you up. I see a bad commercial coming on now. But yeah, my wife and I went to look over there. I'm not that much of a fan of it now at my age, being that close because I got the townhomes.
Hey,
and the
Sparky,
houses.
it's going to creep up on you pretty fast.
I got another.
I'm seeing some gray in that beard.
Whoa! I'm 29. That's not gray. That's just lighting. That's lighting. See the blonde?
Yeah,
right there.
I see it.
So that's definitely one option, I think. My wife loves the idea. I'm just not a huge fan. I don't know. I guess I want my little plot of land and a 15-car garage. And
Well, how are you going to get your volcano pool there? I did see one of those, too. Betty and I saw one on TV last weekend.
Really?
We did.
Now, did it actually, overflow with water? Did it spit fire coming out? Or am I asking for too much now?
No. I mean, hugely expensive, $350,000.
For the volcano pool?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's low for my budget at the moment. Just for the pool?
Yeah.
I could maybe do that and then slap a trailer in front of it. All right, now we're back down to normal range. Here.
That's right.
So that's definitely one option.
Okay.
You don't seem to like that one too much. Independent living.
What are you talking about?
Housing design just for seniors. So that could be...
Are we talking like Messiah Village?
I think it encompasses more of a general range. So Messiah Village is definitely one. Now, Messiah Village, I think, has kind of grown into more of a... I don't want to say independent living, but more of like a senior care, hasn't it?
Well, I think they do everything. Everything from apartments, the kind where you can give them all your money and assets, and then they'll take care of you, until you go into the permanent box or urn.
Permanent box. Boy, that just sounds so enlightening. Okay, back to the independent living.
It's still real estate related.
Well, I guess it is, yeah, because you are buying land there, too.
That's right.
I never thought about that. Right. Yeah. That's another show topic.
Perpetual care.
Yeah, but a lot of them are apartments, I think.
Yeah, I think they're really set up, where you can, get an apartment now and you still be independent, but as you need like assisted living, you can move into where they maybe provide the meals. So I think, and then it goes all the way up into long-term care, where you,
right.
You're
where maybe they're in a building where they've got a nurse or something on staff.
Correct.
If you need something,
I think they go all the way up to full care.
Do they really?
Yeah, I believe so.
Wow, but they take everything. I mean, that's
well, yeah. Bottom line, yeah.
So it almost sounds like that is like the end-all, be-all type of place where you just kind of lose your independence. They call it independent living, but it's kind of like the wheels are in motion. we're going to stick you out here on step 3, but eventually you're going to end up here. So
Right.
you're
But if you have no heirs, or if you have no kids,
or no family, I guess.
yeah, no family, it might be the right solution for you.
But it's definitely a path that's already chosen. I mean,
it's a steps program.
yeah. So once you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard
You're
to get
all
out.
in,
Yeah. And I guess if you're in that situation, okay, I like your idea better with living on a cruise ship for the rest of your life. But
you're always going to be traveling. You're going to have a tiny room. You're not going to have that great big of a huge of a room over at Messiah.
that's all right. But I got a pool in the backyard.
Well, yeah, but they got pools on the ship,
That's what I
got
know.
entertainment,
All kinds of
buffet
stuff.
dinners.
You get a little part-time job.
I know.
You know, a little buffet guy.
Yeah, that's all
turn
right.
the shrimp
Yeah,
over every
exactly.
once in a while.
Exactly.
Here's some extra spending money to get on the casino on the ship.
That's right. It's all in one.
I guess that really wouldn't be that bad, but I think it would get old after a while. Like maybe after 2 years of living on a cruise ship. And
Well, you go to different ports of call. You go, you can travel the world. You can go all different places. You can do it when they're repositioning. You can go down to the Bahamas. You can go to, South Africa. You can go to a lot of places,
that's actually not a bad business idea.
Oh, it's our retirement center? Well, we'll just have a retirement cruise ship?
Well, let's not sell it like that. Let's twist it and let's call it aged singles cruise. No?
It's a thought.
Oh, just I actually
It's a thought.
stumped John for once.
Maybe we can license that to Carnival.
Come on, think about it. I mean, this particular point in time with all the people that are aging, baby boomers and stuff. I mean,
Right.
that would pay for a ship in and of itself.
Oh yeah, if we got like $350,000 from each one of them, we could buy the
Yeah,
ship.
you just sign over your Social Security checks and have a ball. Come on.
All right, so moving on.
All right. Number 4, residential care homes. I think this kind of you went into.
Well, I think that's more like a regular,
Messiah.
or something like
I
that.
think that is. I would think that's more of assisted living than it is anything else. And I don't want to call it a nursing home per se, but I think they have. It's kind of like that step process where you go into a community that might be. I don't want to call it apartments, but let's say maybe all townhomes or something.
Well, yeah, that's sort of how it works. And you move. You move your way through.
Right. But on staff, you've got somebody there as you get older in case you
Yeah.
have any health issues.
Yeah, and you go and get meals and things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other thing you don't have to ever worry about really is maintenance. So it's kind of like
I think that's covered on the cruise ship too.
a landlord on steroids for aging individuals. I hate
Cruise ship thing's looking good.
It is because I just hate to have to start thinking about this.
Right.
Because as we're doing this whole
And
step,
most of the places you're going to be able to wear shorts like at least 9 months out of the year, unless we go on an Alaska cruise in the winter.
oh, that'd be kind of cool.
It would be cool. See, you're thinking about possibilities.
I am actually thinking about making that
I
work.
got you distracted now.
You-
Okay,
you
so
are. You are. All right.
So where are we heading on this?
Again, you go to continuing care retirement, which is, I think, the next step in the process where you've got, which I think you can probably do in your own home too, where you've got nurses that'll come on a daily basis. Is that part of the state programs that they have?
Well, yeah, the state program, depending on income, and it's actually controlled here in Pennsylvania by each county's Department of Aging. And you need to call them in order to get started on the program. And each county works a little bit differently on how they dole out the services. Some you have to go onto Meals on Wheels in order to start the process. But they will actually help them age in place. They will help them if they need money for home repairs, to help them keep them in the home longer. That's one of the goals there, before they would have to go to a nursing home. Or place like that. And so there's a lot, if you need ramps, if you need grab bars, if you need the bathroom modified, Those are all things that can be taken care of, and there is state help. There's also help from PHFA, Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency, if somebody wants to borrow the money. But the state money's more, from the lottery's point, is more of like a grant or a gift. You don't have to pay it back.
And that's just for helping you in your current residence.
Right, and it could be in your apartment, too.
So it can be for an apartment.
It can be for an apartment. So let's say you find the ideal apartment, but it doesn't have, let's say it doesn't have an access ramp, and you need an access ramp. Actually, they will come in and put that in and install it.
Now, there's an interesting question. As a landlord, if there's an aging person in there that gets help to put a ramp in, do I have to allow that to be put in?
You don't have to allow it, but there's no downside. A lot of times it will be returned to its original condition when they leave.
Really?
Yeah.
So it would be taken back out if necessary.
Yeah, and a lot of interestingly enough, on a lot of these things that we're starting to need as we age more, like the ramps, now they actually have them where they roll out. They roll out, they're aluminum, they roll out, and they actually have handrails and everything on the side. They'll go up over your steps. Okay, convert it to a ramp at the right elevation, and then later down the road, they can be easily removed. Yep.
Now, what about what do they call those little two-wheel deals that you can just kind of stand on and get around? Those little
Segway?
Little segways. Does it think that's part of it? I mean, my hip can't walk, but I can stand on a Segway.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good idea. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Will they let us have that on the cruise ship?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
But can you imagine? See, now, in my head, I'm envisioning a 55-plus community with a bunch of people on Segways rolling around, bumping into each other. Are you going to have separate insurance?
Yeah,
different lawsuits. That's not good. So, then we roll into assisted living, right? Which is, in essence, really what we were just talking about. Assisted living where you can have a nurse either in your home or in a... Basically, there's a nurse on staff, I think, most of the time.
Right.
Where you already know you've got some issues. Not mental issues, but physical conditions that you need assistance with pretty much full time.
Right.
And I would imagine we get into the whole dementia issue.
Well, that's a whole separate thing. Yeah, but that would be...
I think that would be the nail in the coffin step, which is 7, which is a nursing home.
Now, I can tell you this, out in California and some of our other states where we have ranch home McMansions that they haven't been able to sell, in a lot of those areas, they've made them into assisted living type houses. And they're not allowed to dispense medication, but they're allowed to put your medication on the kitchen island at the time you're supposed to get it. It's not a nursing home, but it is sort of, but it's really usually a very nice house, a McMansion, usually with a pool in that. And usually they'll convert the garages to living quarters so that, if your relatives want to come and visit you, they have a place to stay. So they can spend, and that can all be booked. That's one way that they're repurposing some of the McMansions.
That's interesting, because you're living in a home, but it's maintenance free.
Right.
So you still have the luxuries of poolside and whatever you're normally used to.
Right.
Your Keurig makers, your Starbucks inside.
Absolutely.
All that stuff. But you're saying that they get rid of the garages.
Usually the garages are converted to extra living space, like rooms that they actually rent out to your relatives when they want to come and visit, like you want to have them come for a visit.
Now, is that because I'm not able to drive anymore, or is it because most people in that bracket don't drive anywhere? I mean, is that in these facilities, is it because...
Well, actually, it was a way of repurposing some of these homes that they couldn't sell. Okay, and in 2020, we're going to see a lot of those McMansions. They're going to have to repurpose them because there's not going to be any buyers for them.
Well, the trend does seem to go towards those miniature houses.
Right.
I mean, you've seen that over
tiny homes. Yeah,
very tiny homes. Now they're making them out of old truck trailers. You seen that?
You mean out of the boxes? Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy, but some of them are nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They even have...
You can bury them, and then it's a bunker.
I think they have a community in Seattle, if I'm not mistaken, where they made a whole mini town out of those, and it was really meant for the homeless.
Right.
But, these little homes cost next to nothing to build for these people. I think it was pretty cool. I saw a little video on it, and, they put this money into, or somebody put money into just buying old tractor trailer and made homes out of them in a whole town.
I think we've got some of those up in Perry County. But, okay,
different town there.
Is that the last one?
That was the last one. So what? Yeah.
Well, some of the things I think that I'd like to talk a little bit about. What I'm finding with aging customers right now is, one, they have a lot of possessions. Their kids don't want it. They've got full garages, full basements, and nobody wants this stuff. So my recommendation is to start to look through your stuff and start to sell it off now. Spend the money. There's just the kids right now. They're not into what we used to consider to be high quality furniture. They'd rather have the IKEA. They don't really want Dad's Lionel train set. Doesn't mean anything to them. They just they've become a very visual or video or electronic age. They'd more rather have his Nintendo.
It is an electronic age. But I did find, like I said, when I went to that home the other day, because it happened to be a community yard sale, which is obviously one way you can start getting rid of stuff and maybe making a couple extra bucks on the side. But these trains, you'd be surprised, your parents' stuff, they were worth tons.
Yeah, not
trains.
Anymore. Not
trains.
Anymore.
No, they went for a ton of money. But my point was they came in and they actually had a special auction just for these trains.
Oh, yeah. Big Dog's a big train guy.
Really? Trains are crazy. But one aspect, which I think we're going to have a show about, is auctions.
Yeah, we're going to have an auction show.
And that is certainly one way if you want to kind of downsize. I mean, for example, an auction company can come into your house and can they tell you what's worth anything?
Yeah, actually, we have a customer right now that's going to be having an auctioneer come in to do an online auction because they have some very high-end antiques that maybe our area might necessarily not bring the highest dollar return. So it's got to be a little bit more global on the aspect of it, because they have just some amazing pieces, which, as an ex-furniture guy, I respect. I mean, I get it. But, I mean, things that are way, way, way above my economic ability to purchase. You're talking bookcases that might be $35,000 for a bookcase.
For a bookcase?
For a bookcase.
Yeah, that's why I go to IKEA.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, but these guys can come in.
They can either do an on-site auction, they can take it to the auction houses, or they can do it online. So if it's very high-end, usually they're going to do it online.
But will they come in and tell you what the stuff's worth?
Well, they're going to come in. They're going, they're sort of like a realtor. They're going to give you their best idea, but they don't. They have to research it. But things are not selling. The antique furniture right now is selling for pennies on the dollar compared to what it used to. Maybe 50 cents.
Really?
Yeah, from just 5 or 6 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you watch like that Antique Roadshow or anything like that, you'll see prices are dropping.
Huh. No, but I do watch the one with the storage ones. Storage Wars.
So that the kids don't just want the stuff anymore. It's Big Dog back there. He's sitting on an original Z28. And maybe it's time for him to look to sell that, because the kids aren't going to want that. In 5 years, they're going to be driving. They're going to want that used Tesla.
Yeah. I just saw one on the road the other day. I think it was one of the newer ones. It was gorgeous. However, if I were to put up a Tesla against the 1965 Mustang 500, Eleanor, there's no competition. I mean, that right there is a piece of artwork.
Right.
And same with the Z28. Do you have that thing running now?
No.
What? Mike, You should have that
soon.
thing. You should be burning tires off of that thing right now.
That's right. He doesn't have any points on his license right now.
Come on. You got like 12 points to spare before it gets taken. Got to get some YouTube videos up, Al. But, yeah, auction is one way to downsize.
An auction, yard sales, but, folks, I guess really what we're starting to say is, if you're starting to relook at your life and where you're going in the house and that, start talking to your kids. I mean, if there's things they want, make sure that that they want them out of the household, too.
Right. Yeah, as opposed to giving it away at a yard sale for 10 cents.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
But it also all this comes down to, unfortunately, inevitability and being prepared and coming up with a plan as far as what the best option for you, your spouse, or just you.
And if you're out house hunting now and if you're in your 40s or your 50s, you need to be thinking about that. It's really something you should be thinking about and not just blowing it off. It may be your dream home, but is it going to fit you in 10 years? Is it going to fit you in 5? So you want to look with a little bit longer, view on it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you do. And it's certainly not something I want to think about yet, but it's something I have to. At least the contingency plan, 20 years. I got another 50 years to go. We're good. I'm going to buy that McMansion and worry about it 20 years from now.
The volcano pool.
Yeah, the volcano.
You just have to be heated a little bit hotter.
Well, no, it'll be down in maybe Orlando or Miami or something.
Okay.
It'd have to be like air-conditioned pool.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, the opposite way.
Well, I think it must be our favorite home inspector, Mr. John Stobbs from EnviroQuest.
John, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys.
How are you doing today?
Great. How about you?
Good. Are you at the beach?
No, I'm in local.
Okay.
What? Wait a minute. He confused me, John. The last time I talked to John, I think he was had his waders on, and he was 20 feet out into the ocean with the cell phone on him still. You came back that fast?
Yeah, it came back fast. All good things have to come to an end. So.
I thought you were going to be out there for 3 weeks, John.
So
to work today.
So today we're talking about fireplaces, chimneys, things like that, right?
Sure, yeah. From the home inspection standpoint, we run into a lot of, I will say, especially at the line, we run into a lot of wood stoves and coal stoves that aren't installed properly. One of the biggest things we see is, let's say, for example, a wood stove that requires, let's say, 36 inches of clearance or 30 inches of clearance. And what we find is people misinterpret what clearance means. And so let's say they'll say, oh, well, I'm building a brick wall at 25 inches, so I'm good to go because brick's not flammable. And then what they'll have is a wood-studded wall behind that. So the safety issue that people have to keep in mind with those, and we see a lot during our home inspections. So what happens, you have that brick, and the heat radiates from the stove, and it'll go right through that brick and dry the wood out behind the brick. So what it does, it raises up the flash point of that wood and creates a dangerous situation where the wood, because of the radiant heat that's coming out of the stove, will get really dried out and have a high flash point so that it becomes a fire hazard. So we see a lot of instances where the clearances aren't proper. So if it says 36 inches of clearance, it means that nothing flammable can be within that whole entire 36 inches. It doesn't stop when you build a stone or a brick wall. So that's one of the things we run into a good bit.
Now, when it comes to, let's say, a wood stove, for example, and you've got a chimney going out of a house, right? With those wood stoves, you've got what, like metal going up through the chimney, correct? Like metal piping?
Yeah, so one of the things we look at with the home inspection is the different types of piping have different clearances, whether it's a double wall pipe or, terracotta pipe. They all have requirements for clearances, so we, sometimes we're limited as far as access to inspect the entire pipe, but we try to look at, where it goes into the wall and where it, what it's going through up in the attic, if we can see it there. So, so depending on the type of vent, they all have their own requirements.
So how do you, when you do an inspection of, let's say, a stove or a wood stove or even a regular wood chimney or fireplace, how do you inspect the chimney itself? And number two, how can a chimney itself be dangerous?
We, for the most part, with a home inspection, we don't inspect the interior of the chimney. But, for example, a fireplace, we look at the fire brick inside of the fireplace. We check the damper to make sure that works. We, look for cracks in the fire brick. We inspect the hearth extension to make sure there's enough clearance there from flammable materials. We check the doors. And, we look at up on the roof. We look at the flashing around the chimney. We look in the attic for signs of leakage. We inspect the top of the chimney, looking for like the masonry cap, and see if it has a rain cap to keep rain from going down inside.
John, I'm starting to see that there's other types of stoves than what we used to normally think, like the wood stove or coal stove. Now there are even like fuel oil stoves out there, in addition to like the propane.
Yeah. There's, as technology increases and with the cost of energy, there's all different sorts of products. You have a really cool thing that's come out in the last couple of years is, you have the window mount ACs. There's actually a window mount pellet stove.
Really?
Stick it right, just they're pretty cool. Yeah, you stick it right in the window, just like a window mount AC unit.
Pellet stove.
Yeah, pellet stove.
Wow. Now, Kingsley and I both want to go see one of those. Where anyone locals sell them? Now you got our brains whirling.
I know they used to sell them through Home Depot. I'm not sure if they sell them in the actual store, but I know I've seen them on their website. I haven't checked recently, but I have seen them before on the Home Depot.
That's crazy.
Website.
Do you know how many of those we could sell up in Perry County?
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't have to call the chimney guy; just throw it right in the window.
Wow. Yeah, how can that be safe? I mean, that's like saying, here's a portable, fireplace. Yeah, just stick it right on the window. No worries.
Yeah, I'm sure they have some pretty explicit installation instructions, but they sell them.
I would think you'd have to. It's kind of cold in Johnny's room. Just throw a window pellet stove up there. He'll be all right.
Hey, I just Googled it while we're here because I'm thinking he's pulling one on us.
And those you got to plug in pellet stoves, right? I mean, they require electricity, correct?
Yeah, for the fan, yeah. Yeah, so I was running low on topics, so I just had to make something up, right?
Well, I didn't know if you were just trying to stump us and let's see what these two fools don't know.
I don't know plenty, but
it's not April 1st.
That is pretty cool, though. I never even thought about that.
So John, did you find it?
Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ones. I am just like crazy. It's crazy. Window mount pellet stoves.
Huh.
Wow.
Now, I wonder if there is actually any savings to having a pellet stove, or is that just convenience? I mean, versus, let's say, electric heat, I guess it's the electric's minimal since you're just running a fan.
I'm going to get a truckload of these and drive.
But how much does it cost to buy pellets?
Yeah, so you have to look at, I guess, the BTU output of the unit, and then, if you're switching types of heat, you're probably going to use about, if you use a different type of fuel, you can figure out your BTU usage, and that's probably, unless you do something to change the insulating factor in your home, that's probably going to be about the same, just switching fuels. So you can do some calculations if you're using this much oil.
So how much are they over there? What'd you find out?
Sears has one on sale for $2,200. That's pretty salty.
That is kind of salty. I was thinking, okay, well, you're in a big house because we're talking about retirement here. And you've got like 5 or 6 different bedrooms, you know what I mean, that you don't use, and you want to just kind of heat up a portion of the house. Oh, great! Let's just plug in a window pellet stove. But $2,200 doesn't seem like you're actually going to be saving if you got to put that much out in cash. I mean, they don't have
and then you have to
$99 version.
Where you're going to store the pellets and how much your pellets cost you.
Yeah, how many pellets do you burn through? That's another thing too.
Well, that's
you can probably calculate that once you know, what your fuel costs are for a different type of fuel. You just you can do some calculations and figure out how many pellets you're going to need.
I'm sure they have stats as far as what your square footage is, et cetera. At least general stats.
Yeah.
But at $2,200, that's a bit steep for me to consider getting a window-mounted pellet stove. But that certainly is interesting. So back to the fireplaces. When we were talking about cracks, if you've got cracks, in the brick, what happens when there's cracks in the stove, the fireplace and/or stove?
Yeah, the stove or a fireplace, your combustion chamber or the fireplace itself, usually that's a minor repair. Replace a few fire bricks, unless it's in real bad shape. One of the things we do run into that is quite a costly repair is, and we check this real carefully during the inspections, when you have one of the steel fireplaces, and let's say they have that and it's been there a long time, they didn't have a chimney cap and it's all rusted out. So that's a rather costly repair to replace one of those one-piece steel fireplace units. But a couple cracked fire brick or some, that's a pretty easy repair usually for the most part, unless it's real expensive. Where it gets more expensive is when you have chimney problems or, you need a chimney liner. That's a little more expensive. People, sometimes we run into situations where there's been a fire in the chimney and got extensive damage on the inside. But those are things like during a normal home inspection, it's hard to get access or to see those type of things. And usually you need to if you have concern regarding the inside or the interior of the chimney, get a chimney sweep, and they'll clean it first. And then once it's cleaned, they'll be able to, sometimes they use a camera, or they can, once it's cleaned, you can see if there's like micro cracks in the liner or in the terracotta or the inside of it.
Well,
or if there's brick, they can.
If there's cracks in the chimney, whether it's terracotta or brick or whatnot, I mean, what is what's the safety issue there? I mean, so you've got a couple of cracks in the chimney. The only thing that's happened is the smoke is rising out of your house, right? So
rising out of your house and going into your house. So that's basically when you have breaches in the chimney or the chimney liner, you can get combustion products going into the house, carbon monoxide. So that's the danger there. Or fire hazard, combustion products, sparks, flames going into the house.
Through the cracks?
Through that chimney chase. Well, depending on the size of the crack or if there's more significant damage. So a lot of times the solution to that is to they have these stainless steel liners so if the chimney, the inside of the chimney flue is damaged, they can put a liner in there. A lot of times that's a good solution.
Just retrofit it. Wow. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
My parents also, when I grew up, we had one of those steel wood stoves. So without a proper chimney cap, what you're saying is the water could drip down there and rust out the whole system, and you'd have to replace the whole system.
Yeah, with wood, a chimney cap, so you want a rain cap to keep the rain out, and then the screen along the side that's a spark arrestor that'll keep like hot embers or reduce, the chance of hot embers flying out and catching your roof on fire. So the other thing we look at is the chimney height above the roof, especially with asphalt shingles. There's a minimum required height so that, like, the embers and combustion products that may not be completely burned, they're streaming up through that chimney, don't catch your roof on fire. And with other types of chimneys, like, for example, a chimney that's used for a gas or an oil furnace, it's important they also have a rain cap. What happens with those is when you burn oil or gas, if it's raining and rain's getting down in there, it'll mix with the combustion gas, the byproduct of the oil or the gas, and cause, with gas it's hydrochloric acid, with oil it's sulfuric acid, and that'll contribute to corroding the inside of the chimney and causing damage.
Oh, fabulous. Always something to think about. Well, I'm sorry.
So, yeah.
I'm sorry you had to be back from the beach and your swim up bar for this show. I was kind of hoping you were sipping on a cocktail early this morning, or maybe a Bloody Mary.
Is. You don't know that he's
yeah,
not.
He probably is.
Hey, it's all good.
But hey, thanks for coming on again today. We all obviously learned a lot. Not that heat is certainly something we want to think about today or the coming weeks, hopefully. But it's certainly something to think about before going into the season, that if you think you may have some issues or some cracks, get a hold of John, have him come out and take a look. And, of course, the best number to call John is?
Number is 717-233-6144.
And, of course, online at ebqharrisburg.com.
That's it.
And on Facebook, of course. John, thanks for coming out, as usual.
Stay cool, buddy.
Hey, thanks. Maybe I'll see you at Home Depot buying a window mount.
I bet you they're on sale today.
Not any time soon, buddy.
Have a great week, John.
See you later.
All right, you guys too. See ya.
So, Kinglsey, I know here for the Mortgage Minute, I've seen some new projections on interest rates for like the next 2 years.
They're going up to 15% again, John.
Well, no, I mean, they're really showing on average, that they're expecting they're going to hang in the 4s.
They did tick down a little bit since last week. And we actually, GSF Mortgage made some improvements on pricing, this is actually kind of exciting. We made improvements on pricing for those below 620 in credit scores. And we made improvements for those above, too. But it's an all-encompassing improvement for the whole gamut for the most part. I don't know if that's an indication of what's to come. Maybe we're just anticipating. But the funny thing is every time we, hear the next announcement that's supposed to come out from the Fed or from any factor that's supposed to affect interest rates of the bond market, et cetera, and then afterwards, what we're seeing is completely opposite of what's expected. So what happens is you see banks in the market and the Fed, they're all making adjustments based on what they think is going to happen after these announcements. Oh my God, the housing market's down, or the unemployment rate's up, and supposedly all this stuff affects interest rates. And what's been surprising is it hasn't. Even after all these announcements, interest rates are just flat.
Yeah, flat. That's
So
what you're saying.
the next thing you know, the adjustments that people were making expecting something come back down the week later.
Hey, I just want to throw this out. There's a new trend in some of the areas be across the country because the inventory is so tight. And there are realtors that are holding for sale by owners open, like an open house and a for sale by owner.
I saw that.
I'm realtor tip. I mean, you can see that as a tip if you want to go and do that. I'm just not sure how I would feel as a consumer seeing a for sale by owner sign, go in to see it's being hosted by.
Well, if I'm looking for a home, I don't care who the heck's showing the thing if it's for sale, right? I'm going to get it for whatever price I should be able to get it for. But I guess my question is why would the person for sale by owner want a realtor show it.
Well, I guess because they're having them act as a buyer's agent, so they have to add their commission on top of the price.
So you think they're going in and saying, okay, well, the house is $100,000, and the buyer's going to have to pay me $2,000 outside of the seller's not paying the commission. In other words, the buyer's.
Well,
paying
I mean,
the commission.
that's all negotiated. But
Right.
my assumption is that.
I just don't see the logic where.
Well, doesn't that just make the situation worse? As if you're as a real estate agent and you don't have inventory, and then you're doing that because usually when we're in an open house, we just pick up more buyers to work with, and it's still not helping me on my inventory situation.
It's not helping on the inventory situation, but from a standpoint of being the owner of the house, if I were to enlist the services of a realtor,
well,
I would do that because I need my house sold, and I want you to go out and do what you're good at as far as the marketing aspect, the videos, the whole 9 yards that we've already spoken about that makes a good realtor a good realtor.
I think some agents are just using it as a way to get their foot in the door.
All
Since
right.
we know that typically most for sale by owners do eventually transition to a real estate agent.
And open houses in general are definitely not as important to sell the home as sellers think.
Correct.
Because we all know that anybody looking to buy a home most likely is going to schedule a visit before they wait for an open house.
Right, just something to think about, folks. So I know we're coming to the end and we need to start to wrap up here. So I'm going to let you say the whole ending of our show since, I usually tell them to get their real estate on early in the morning. So go ahead and lead me through this because I'm going to jot down notes.
Well, before I jump out, I'm going to make sure everybody gets online and searches for what's out there. Search homesinpa.com.
Right.
I've actually had some traffic increase.
Real Estate Radio Guys on Facebook.
Real Estate Radio Guys on Facebook. Please
Just
follow
Google
us. We're on Spreaker. We're on
Spreaker. We're on iHeart. We're on Google. We're on YouTube. We're all over the place. We're on iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio. Please
we'll
follow
be getting
us.
a podcast later today.
Get your pre-qual at pagoloan.com, and I've actually got a new one, pavaloan.com. Find out if you're qualified. We've got a great rebate system for our heroes right now, so you're actually going to get it more and above your 100%. As always, real people, real questions, real answers. See you guys next week.
You've been listening to the Real Estate Radio Guy with real estate broker John Rainville. Listen each week at this time and learn all about buying and selling, mortgages, market conditions, property maintenance, and much more. It's brought to you by GSF Mortgage Corporation, EnviroQuest Inspections, and SearchHomesInPA.com. It's the Real Estate Radio Guy, Saturday mornings at 8 on Oldies 102.9 and AM 960 WHYL.
From the L.B. Smith Ford Lincoln Studios, Oldies 102.9 is WHYL Carlisle.